The image that you see on the screen is of a Kilo class submarine, a second Kilo class submarine of the Indian Navy had a serious mishap today. The first incident, of course, being a few months earlier when the Sindhurakshak submarine went down in its pier with 18 sailors and officers on that instance being killed. In today's incident, we are now told that the fate of 2 officers, very unclear at this stage, but 7 sailors who were on board that submarine have been evacuated earlier on in the day after a major fire on board that submarine, which was 50 kilometers off the coast of Mumbai. The Navy Chief Admiral Joshi has taken full responsibility for this and has resigned, as a result of which Vice Admiral DHOWAN has taken over as the stand-in Navy Chief until such time as the government decides to appoint a new Navy Chief. So Admiral DK Joshi immediately resigning. That resignation has been accepted. He quits in the finest traditions of the armed forces, not waiting for a moment. Vice Admiral RK DHOWAN, the interim Navy Chief, will be looking into the affairs of the Indian Navy until such time as the Indian Navy has a new chief, who will be appointed, and that appointment has to be ratified by the Supreme Commander. That's the President. Now, this resignation comes after a spate of accidents. There have been 10 accidents in a period of 7 months, affecting not just the submarine fleet, where there have been 3 accidents on submarines, including the loss of the INS Sindhurakshak and this very major incident today. There have also been several other instances. Let's just see if we can try and pull up that graphic of previous instances of accidents in the last 10 odd months. In the last 7 odd months in the Indian Navy, and these affect not just submarines but also warships. So the 10 in the last 7 months, 10th accident is today's incident. Now this is the 3rd submarine accident in the last 7 months alone. Now the frigate INS BETWA was damaged after hitting an underwater object. The minesweeper INS KONKAN caught fire during repairs. The amphibious landing ship, the INS AIRAVAT, ran aground. Now, these are only 3 incidents. Remember that there have been several more, 10 incidents in total, which have affected frontline warships. It's not just obviously the loss of personnel, the loss of lives, most important for any force. But one cannot stress enough the importance of these capital warships and these platforms, which cost, in instances, hundreds, if not thousands of crores. In terms of acquiring. A submarine could take upwards of a year to build, a single submarine. The loss of a platform like this means a fresh order has to be placed, it has to be negotiated, the submarine has to be built, it has to be commissioned, prior to which it has to be tested. There is no easy quick fix replacement strategy for either submarines or warships. Therefore, the loss or damage to a submarine or a warship, very, very critical. Let's go straight across now to my colleague Nitin Gokhale, who's been tracking every aspect of these developments. Nitin, go ahead. What are you hearing?
Well, at the moment, Vishnu, this is all that we know, that he has resigned, and everybody is in a shock in the Navy. That I have managed to speak to at least 3 or 4 people at different levels, and nobody expected him to do this because there is a phase in every force where a spate of accidents and misjudgments and happen. And people lose lives, or the ships or the combatants get damaged. But Admiral Joshi was very harsh on his subordinates for errors of judgment in the last 5-6 months, when there was the series of accidents and misjudgments. So therefore, I think it was in the only fitness of things that he thought that if I have been harsh on my subordinates for small or critical mistakes which could have been avoided, then I must take the responsibility, because it has gone out of hand. This latest accident is perhaps the 10th or the 11th incident of the series of mishaps. But I would also say this for the Navy, that most of these accidents were part of the operational or training deployment that happens. Navy ships do get damaged. They do get repaired, and because the Navy is expanding at a very rapid rate, the Indian Navy, and it has some shortage of officers, there could be some problem there. But certainly, there were not such incidents which warranted, in the conventional sense, the resignation of the Navy Chief. But I suppose he has his own calling, and Admiral Joshi, who, as I said, had more than a year to go before retiring, normally, in the normal course of time, has quit. That certainly sets an example. for future chiefs and all the military leaders in the future.
So, Nitin, quite besides
earlier.
the example that he sets, a lot of what Admiral Joshi has said over the last 1 year is quite interesting. He is not one to shy away from speaking his mind. Obviously a man under a great deal of pressure because of the loss of lives in the Sindhurakshak case. But I remember in that press conference on Sindhurakshak, when a journalist asked him, where were these sailors who died from, he looked at that reporter and he said they were from India. For him,
that has been remembered everywhere, and in fact I had an extensive interaction with him, a day-long day at sea off the eastern seaboard last August. And in fact, that interview is about half an hour that we played, but I did about 50 minutes of an interview which was edited out for obvious reasons. For half an hour we had to fit it in. And there he spoke his mind about what he expects from the Navy, what he is looking at, what are the future plans for the Navy. And certainly he came across as a man who spoke his mind and who didn't mince words, both with his subordinates or with the authorities above him, to tell them what exactly they needed to do to make the Indian Navy a truly blue water Navy. And therefore, as I said, the naval community seems to be in a bit of a shock. They didn't expect this to happen, but as I said, sterling example. As a first reaction, one can say this. There will be other details coming out on why he resigned. Was he under pressure from political executive, or was he sort of persuaded to resign? All that will be a matter of speculation at the moment, but that he has chosen to resign and the government has accepted the resignation sets an example that will be hard to emulate in terms of military leadership. Vishnu?